Yeah, I relocated to the UK in 2011, and I worked as a DOS for a summer school. And one thing that daunted me during this job is that instead of focusing on the content, instead of focusing on the actual teaching, on developing, on CPD, on supporting teachers, spend most of my time making photocopies. You are probably, let me just get to my presentation. You are probably familiar with something like this. Okay, this is what I was faced with, folders and folders of photocopies of worksheets that I needed to make copies of for use in the classroom. Then we went to this stage where we kept everything, when we tried to be a little bit more digital, and we kept different folders, but then again, you can see lots of confusion.
Alicja, we cannot see your screen, I'm afraid. We can only see the Wix side.
Oh, sorry.
So the queues of the photocopy and all of that, we haven't enjoyed.
Oh, okay, that's not good. Let me just quickly maybe get rid of this for the time being. Can you see summer syllabus? Oh, no, sorry.
Are you using PowerPoint or are you feeding off the...
I'm using the website, just that maybe it's on the wrong, if I get rid of this.
I think you have to put it on the last one you've used so that you've clicked on it last for it to show in the shared screen, if that helps.
There you go.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see this?
Yes.
The folder? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is an online syllabus, but it's not for online teaching. This is something that I need to emphasize. It is a syllabus created for summer schools. In my previous place, I worked for a multi-center summer school. So I thought that, yes, we cannot have this, we cannot have this, and we cannot have this, because that only created lots of confusion. And summer schools are fast-paced environments. And yes, if we ask teachers to come up with their own materials, to plan their own lessons, there's no time for that. So I looked for the most simple solution that there was, and I created my first online syllabus in 2013, where watching videos in class was still a novelty. Now I think it's a given that lessons need to be dynamic, need to be interactive, need to be inspirational. There was some other, so yes, so right now I'm just talking about how it all started, where the inspiration came to come up with a very simple syllabus, online syllabus that can be used by teachers in a very simple and easy way. You can see the whole outline of the syllabus here. So this was my first inspiration, to make it as simple and as easy to use as possible. Another inspiration came from my nephew. I visited my sister once and asked my nephew to come up with some words in English, simple words like, I don't know, table, soap. And he had had English for more than 6 years in his school, and he couldn't come up with those words. But when I asked him for words from his favorite game, Minecraft, he came up with sophisticated words like pickaxe, spears, anvil, etc. So I thought that, yes, course books might not be so effective. Before I relocated to the UK, I did a lot of teaching. I did a lot of teaching. I did a lot of teacher training, but I also did a lot of private teaching. I never used course books with my students. And one thing that I noticed that they did manage to become fluent enough to communicate in the real world. So this inspired me. And when, well, obviously I'm old enough to have witnessed the beginning of internet. So when internet came online for the first time, I was, I thought, why use course books if most of the content on the internet is in English? I remember times when I used to go to the UK on study visits and come back with suitcases full of brochures, menus, whatever, authentic materials to use in Poland nowadays. It's just a few clicks away. So this was my inspiration to come up with an online syllabus that will be easy to use, simple to use, that will be interesting for summer school students, because we mostly deal with teenagers. Teenagers are not easy to teach on a summer school when it is hot in July and they have afternoon lessons after lunch until 5 p.m. So yeah, I designed my first syllabus, and since then I have modified it about 5 times, which is another advantage of using an online syllabus, that it is modifiable. You can keep on changing it. Because in summer schools, we've got students coming back again and again, especially in Country Cousins, because it's such a great school. They love it so much, they keep coming back. And if they come back, and if we use course books, then obviously we will probably use the same course books year after year, and they would complain. We have done that. We did that last year. We don't do it again. So that was another inspiration. And then I did this presentation about the syllabus at an ELT conference. And even though this was not my original inspiration, but I came across these quotations. So have a quick look, read them, what they say. So this was one of the quotations. So giving content that is inspirational for especially for teenagers. This was another one. When we teach from course books, quite often they are asked questions such as, well, maybe not often, but they are given a text and then they are given a list of comprehension questions. And another one. So if we try to engage teenage students and we give them a course book, the course books, they do their best to include interesting material, but the problem is that if it is printed, then it becomes out of date almost as soon as the course book is released. So that was another inspiration, to come up with a wholly online syllabus relying on online resources only. And another inspiration for a summer school also, from the point of view of practical reasons, was obviously, well, when I used to work for a multi-center language school, printed material had to be distributed to those centers. There are always problems with that. Delays, confusion, frustration. So sometimes it was total chaos. When everything was online, we managed to avoid that completely. At the beginning, I used the syllabus, so as not to introduce teachers to complete shock therapy, where they would only be using online resources. It was a blended syllabus. We used some online resources and some printed material, but there was still a lot of copying to do so that teachers could use the printed material. But gradually, at Country Cousins, especially when I started working for Country Cousins, first we had the online syllabus and some paper activities on paper, and students had a workbook. Then we got rid of all the supplementary activities on paper, and then we got rid of the workbook. We got rid of the workbook because we did have a nice, beautiful workbook, but I sometimes went to the classrooms to have a look at the workbooks, and there was hardly anything written in them, because the nature of the summer school is that students should be communicating, mostly communicating. So yes, some of the things that I'm going to talk about, they refer mostly to summer schools, but many aspects of the syllabus, I'm sure, can be adapted to year-round courses and to mainstream education. So what I focused on in the syllabus was communication and listening strategy, Because when the students come to the UK, this is what they can make the most of here when they come to the UK. They can do grammar, they can do writing, they can do reading at home with their own teachers in their home country. But when they come to the UK, we want to take advantage of the fact that they are taught by native speaker, mostly native speaker teachers, that they are in the real English environment. And what they usually struggle with is understanding British people and communicating, overcoming the barrier of actually communicating by saying something to the real British people. So the syllabus is based on these 3 stages. We usually have 3 lessons per day. So the first lesson would focus on receptive skills, but this will mostly be listening to video clips, listening to TED Talks, or any other video material that I can find on the internet. So the receptive skills would be coping with authentic online material. So the idea was also to give students the confidence to use the internet to learn English, not only to use the social media in their own language, not to watch films in their own language, but to show them that actually learning an English language does not have to be painful, that it can be pleasant, that they can learn in a natural way. The aim of the first lesson every day is also through the receptive skills to arouse curiosity, to raise awareness about different issues, not just the language, to develop critical skills where they do research on the internet, problem solving, and broadening horizons. So one of my ambitions was also not only to teach language, but to teach many other things. Since we've got students coming from different parts of the world, it would be a shame to teach them the language only. They are in the British cultural environment, but they are mostly in an international environment. So the idea is to have discussions and interact in many possible ways. The second lesson is usually the so-called language focus, where I try to show students different IT tools that they can use on the internet, where we look at the language specifically, where we show students that they can use the internet on their own when they go home and keep learning language independently. Productive skills is all about presentation skills. I come, as Chris said, I am not a native speaker of English. I come from Poland, and I think that one of the main things missing in education on the continent is the emphasis on presentation skills, as opposed to education in the UK, where the students are asked to present from age 4. And that can be seen when the students are asked to present something. They usually have quite a lot of difficulty. So this is how the syllabus is structured. And now let me show you how it works in action. So as you can see, it's very, very simple. The problem very often is with digital materials is that they are very complicated. For this syllabus, I used only 2 main IT tools, the Wix platform. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. The Wix platform is a platform that can be used by anybody. I have no knowledge of, I have no idea how to code. I have very basic knowledge about computers, but I could use it very easily because it basically guides you. And it's based on templates. You just use various templates and design your website. So let me just show you a sample level. So as you can see, we've got 4 levels based on the Common European Framework. We've got A2, B1, B2, C1. And the syllabus, we operate on a 4-week cycle. So this is week 1, week 2, week 3 and week 4. And each week is based on a theme. So we've got the peace week, we've got the star week, we've got the heart week, and we've got the infinity week. Maybe I'll come back to show you what those weeks entail. So the peace week is all about social issues. Star week is all about entertainment. Heart week is about emotions and relationships. Infinity week is science and philosophy. These topics I have chosen myself because I thought that these would be topics that are of interest to teenagers, especially. You might disagree with me. You might have other topics that would be better, but the beauty of the syllabus is that I can keep on modifying the syllabus. So if I decide that some other topics are more current to students, some other topics might be more interesting for the students, I can modify the syllabus for the following year. Okay, you can have a quick look at the different, we've got the themes and we've got the topics within the themes. So have a quick look at the themes, the topics. And if at this stage anybody has got a comment, please let me know. Do you think these topics are appropriate for teenagers? You can see some nodding. I can't see everybody at the same time, but feel free to comment. Feel free to ask questions at any time. And Chris, I can't see you, but if you have any questions in the chat box, let me know.
Alicia, can you hear me when I'm speaking now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, fine. So we automatically muted everybody when they came in, and I'm hoping that people know how to unmute themselves if they want to ask a question. If anybody has any problem with that, just stick a note in the chat box and I'll try to help you.
Okay. Right. Okay, so let's see how this looks in the syllabus. So I will have a look at the sample B2 level Peace Week, which was all about social issues. And let's maybe go to Friday. And this would be an example day for the teachers. So you can see, again, it's extremely simple. There are some teachers' notes for students, but these are just very general guidelines. I'll show you them a little bit later on. And each lesson has got 2 main sources to work with. So the topic is the future of humanity. Quite a current topic, I think, at the moment. Hope we do have some future. And yeah, so this would be a warm-up activity. Have a quick look. Okay, I'm sure you can see what this is all about. It's a vision of the future. So I think it is an alternative to something that you might find in a course book. There might be a picture in a course book. Here we've got a whole video. There might be some general questions, but with something like this, with a video like this, you can do various things. You can ask the students to close their eyes and imagine what the future looks like and then open the eyes. You can ask one student to describe what they see in the video to another student. And another thing is that when they watch it, it's got this feel-good factor about the future, so that they are not so pessimistic about the future, but maybe a little bit more optimistic. because people always tend to say that the future does not look good. So this would just be a warm-up activity.
Can I ask you, Alicia?
Yeah.
So using the video, we all have different, ideas for ways of using the video. Would your teacher's notes include suggestions, for example, on how the video might be used? Is that what your teacher's notes are doing there?
Yes. Okay. So let me show you the teacher's notes. Hope you can see them. So just have a quick look at the teacher's notes. You could just skim through them. They are very general. They are very general, but you can also see that I, from time to time, I include links to other websites. So the idea of the teacher's notes was to give the new teachers some ideas what to do with the material. But as time went by, I discovered that the experienced teachers, they didn't need the teacher's notes. They knew what to do with the videos. They had their own ideas. They just skimmed through the teacher's notes that I gave them and came up with their own ideas how to use the, once they got used to the syllabus, how to use the different videos. Okay. So basically, yes, the teacher's notes are very, very general. So that would be a warm-up activity, and then we would look at a video.
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently, so you never have to slow down at work. Stay on top of emails, documents.
In the last decade, artificial intelligence has gone from a science fiction dream to a critical part of our everyday lives. We use AI systems to interact with our phones through Siri and Alexa. Cars like Teslas interpret and analyze their surroundings to intelligently drive themselves. Amazon monitors our browsing habits and intelligently...
Okay, again, I think you have an idea what the video is all about. And again, with the video on YouTube, you can do so many different things. I always tell the teachers that they should not be actually showing the students the whole video. There should not be any passive watching of the video. It could be listening for gifs. It could be just speaking, because it is authentic material. It might be a little bit difficult for the students. So the teacher just might ask students to pick out certain phrases, certain words, certain expressions. With YouTube video, you can slow it down. You can play it with subtitles. You can do various things. You can look at the transcript. So there are various things that you can do with the video, because one thing that, and this might be one of the revolutionary ideas that I would like to introduce in ELT. For me, language learning is basically, I am a believer of Krashen's theory that comprehensible input is the basis of learning a language. The more you listen, the more effective learner you will become. So for me, and if you look at the course book, this is what happens. You're given content and then you manipulate it many different ways. As teachers, we know all these techniques. We know what to do with a text. We know what to do with the video. We know the different things that we can work with the video. So yes, why not use interesting content and then just use our techniques repertoire to work with it in many different ways. The idea of language teaching is not to cover all the material in the course book, but to make students remember something. They might be doing a course book, they might be reading a text, they might be answering comprehension questions, and then they go home and then they go to Ilfracombe in Devon, where I live, and then they have problems communicating in the real world. So yes, lots of comprehensible input, lots of content, but it has to be interesting, it has to be motivating, it has to have the element of surprise, which is why I decided to work with online resources, because you can always keep them fresh and up to date. So that's lesson one, receptive skills. So it doesn't really matter. For me, it doesn't really matter if we go through a specific series of activities. What matters to me is that the students actually learn maybe 5, 6 different new expressions. And for me, that would be a lot if they take this away with them from a lesson. Lesson 2 is, as I said, it's language focus, is showing students where they can go on the internet and find more material. So obviously,
this is Jack from tofluency.com, and look at this post that I published on my Facebook page.
So this is a little,
in specific cases.
Little YouTube clip about Future Perfect. Again, I don't. When you teach students in class, sometimes you have students drifting off. I hope nobody's drifting off at the moment because I'm doing all the talking. So instead of making your work difficult and explain the same thing over and over again to the students and explain the simple present tense for the 1000th time in your career, just play a YouTube clip with an attractive teacher, for instance, that students will find a little bit more motivating to listen to. And you've got thousands of them on YouTube waiting to explain various grammar aspects to the students. And again, the students, if they see that they can actually learn from YouTube, they can go home. They might miss out on something during the lesson. They go home and they can listen to it over and over again until they completely understand the third conditional, for instance. And then a simple thing, again, showing the students that there are websites where there are exercises. If they do want to do exercises, because we've got students who love doing exercises, they can do an exercise, but they don't need a teacher for that again, because they can check the answers straight away on the website. So that's lesson 2. So focusing on the language explicitly, but also showing students various places on the internet where they can go and find websites that will help them learn on their own. Lesson 3 is all about discussions. Sorry, anybody saying something? So yeah, lesson 3 is all about communication, presentations, talking, communicating, lots and lots of communication. But again, with teenagers, we need to give them something that will make them want to communicate, that they will really want to express their opinions on. So first we've got this little video just to inspire them.
It's time to wake up. Invest in Amazon today and you could earn up to...
I don't know if you have seen Sophia.
Okay, Sophia. I think you're ready.
Hello.
Hi, Sophia.
I believe I am Sophia. I feel as if I know you.
I'm one of your creators.
You created me.
Okay, so this is something to make them think, to make them want to express an opinion about something. Some people, I can see that, Sarah, you're a little bit disgusted by Sophia. Right.
No, I'm not disgusted. I was laughing because I wasn't quite sure which one of them was the robot to begin with. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Yes, but there was a reaction, and this is what I want. This is what I want during the lessons. That
I'm a teenager at heart.
We are all teenagers at heart. So hopefully, yes, it's lesson 3. So it's just we're falling asleep a little bit because they are looking forward to lunchtime. So this is probably maybe something that will wake them up a little bit. And then yes, there's an article, but I would not show the students the whole article, just the title. Intelligent machines will replace teachers within 10 years. And this can be the basis for a debate. When the students prepare for the debate, they can, if they want, they can read the article to get ideas. If not, they can use their own ideas. But hopefully, again, hopefully, I hope that the students will be curious enough to actually read the article at home. The idea of the syllabus is also to inspire students so when we show the video, if the video is 10 minutes, we don't show them the whole video. When we show them the article, we just show them bits and pieces. So again, hopefully they will go home and read it and get more comprehensible input and maybe learn more vocabulary, learn more expressions, and learn the language in the process. So this generally is the example outline of a lessons for a particular day, 3 lessons, and the syllabus follows more or less the same format for the whole course. We also have.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sorry, Alicja, could I ask a question? Like, sort of in terms of technology, and do you have a backup plan for when, like, if let's say the internet is down or things like that? How do you deal with these sort of situations?
Yeah, I always say that this happens very rarely. In my experience, this has happened maybe in my, how many years is that? Well, a lot of years. This has happened maybe 5 times. But the beauty of the syllabus is that it hopefully, again, yes, I'm not being modest here, but it is quite inspirational for teachers. So what I tell teachers, when they know the topics, they basically start talking, having a discussion with students. If they know that the topic is the future of humanity, you just start talking with the students. Very often in teaching, I remember times when I was preparing a lesson. I spent 5 hours preparing one lesson, and I thought I had all those wonderful activities, and then I had a full suitcase full of worksheets, this and that, and then what happened in the classroom was that the students were busy doing lots of exercises, filling in worksheets, but there was no interaction going on. So what I always tell you, and this is actually this works. What I tell teachers, if the internet is down, we simply have a discussion with the students. This is what learning a language is all about, having a discussion, talking, especially on a summer school. So yes, so this is what happens. But it is true that some maybe less confident teachers, they do have a backup. We do have the so-called emergency packs, but only open in case of emergency. So if there is a serious problem in the whole school, my assistant would run around the classrooms handing out those emergency packs with worksheets on paper. So it is possible, but we very rarely use those emergency packs. So yes, so I'm not saying that paper is all wrong. Okay, so this is the general outline. What the students have also in the classroom is we give them tablets.
Alicja, just before we go on, Alex is asking, how long are your lessons?
The lessons are 1 hour long.
Thank you.
Okay, and so we give them tablets, Kindles. These are the cheapest tablets available, which is why we have them. And I believe, again, somebody might disagree with me, that it is much cheaper to have an online syllabus and a tablet rather than buy course books. Tablet is about £50, the tablets that we use. And we also allow students to use phones in the lessons. We can have a discussion about that in a minute. So just to illustrate how the tablets work.
Polite, yes.
Polite. What? It's not here.
Oh. I think
Okay, so you could see there was different kinds of communication going on. We give one tablet per 2 students, so that they do need to communicate. But I think they work as well as the course book, as well as anything that they would have on paper. And yes, it does save a lot of money, and it does save a lot of paper, because usually I have the task of going around the classrooms after the lessons are finished, and very often students are given worksheets and then they end up on the floor and I need to pick them up, which is why I decided to get rid of worksheets altogether, so that I don't have to pick up the paper.
Alicja, if you don't mind, I have a burning question. Why tablets? Why not just use a head-up display?
Sorry?
Why use tablets? Why not just use a head-up display, for example, on a whiteboard?
Yes, so we use tablets not all the time. Sometimes if the teacher asks the students to read an article, for instance, they can read it at their own pace. We also use IT tools, like, let me just show you one of them, if I can find it very quickly, and hopefully you'll be able to see it. I don't know if you're familiar with the Q prompter. So what happens with the Q prompter, you paste in some text. Let me try to do it. There's any text. And you start the Q prompter. So what the students would be doing on a tablet is they would be using this Q prompter, pretend to be TV presenters, and this would be working on pronunciation and read bits of text or bits of transcript from the YouTube clips that they worked on previously. And yeah, they could read it from a piece of paper, but if they use a tablet and if they read from a Q prompter, I think it makes it a little bit more fun for the students. So we would use tablets for something like this. They would also use tablets for doing a little bit of research to find out. A teacher might ask a question and ask them to do a research and find some information about a given topic. Yeah, so.
Okay,
so,
that's clear,
yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Yes, okay, so tablets, let me see what else is there. Yes, and we do, we'd encourage them to use phones. They can use notebooks, they can take notes if they like, but they can also use their phones to take pictures of whatever they can see on the screen, on the general screen, take pictures of whatever they might be doing on paper. Because people, I'm sure the question will come up. Yes, this was always a question that came up during British Council inspections. Okay, what will the students show to parents to prove that they have actually done something? And my yes, well, I always thought that the parents were not greatly interested in the workbooks. But I think if students do something, and yes, we risked it 1 year. We just got rid of the workbooks, no workbooks. We did not have a single complaint from a parent, which probably means that they are not really that interested in what notes students make during the course. But I think the parents might be a little bit more interested if a student, because we've got storytelling workshops, if students take a little video clip of themselves telling a story, and then they show it to the parents. I think that would be much more interesting for the parents to actually see that their children are speaking in English and they are presenting something. So this is my idea of keeping a record of work of students, something that I think is more useful and proves that they have actually gained confidence, that they have actually learned how to genuinely communicate when they were in the UK. Okay, so this is a general outline of the syllabus. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, Monica is asking, do you encourage students to have vocabulary notebooks? And Alex is saying, have you tried e-portfolios?
They can keep vocabulary notebooks, but again, my opinion about vocabulary notebooks is quite similar to what I have just said before. Students might again have a long list of vocabulary in their notebooks, and then what? For me, something that is much more valuable is when they do the presentations, which usually something that usually happens in lesson 3. And again, they've got a little video clip of them saying something, presenting something, putting sentences together in a discourse rather than a list of vocabulary items that you might forget 3 days after. So yes, but some students, of course, we've got different kinds of language learners. So yes, we do encourage them to make a note of all the vocabulary, expressions, especially expressions, a couple of sentences. Yes, but portfolio, no, not in our summer school, because we don't really have time for that. Our students come to the school for 2 weeks. So we don't have time to mark their papers. We don't have time to collect different pieces of work that they might produce. And a portfolio means that there is lots of emphasis on writing. We do not put emphasis on writing. As I said, writing is something that they can do in their home country. We put emphasis on speaking, presenting, presentation, communication, exchanging cultural experiences. So no, we don't put emphasis on collecting lots of pieces of paper about this and that. I'm not saying that the portfolio is not useful in a year-round situation. It's very useful. But I'm a strong believer of what is actually, what students leave in their head rather than in a notebook, in a folder. One thing that I have noticed over and over again is, and in feedback, this is what the students say, that the main thing that they take away with them from a summer school is confidence, overcoming the barrier of speaking, overcoming the barrier of communicating with other students. And this is what I try to make this syllabus do for the students, so that they do want to communicate, they want to exchange opinions. Sometimes we've got very heated discussions in the classroom. Obviously, the best topic for that is food, and when we've got Italians arguing with with all the other nationalities, which food is the best. Okay, any other questions? Or maybe comments?
Nigel was asking which platform. I think you said WIC, did you? Is that W-I-C?
It's Wix. It's Wix. Yes, let me show you what it looks like. Although there are other platforms these days, many of them, like GoDaddy, for instance, I think. WordPress is quite difficult. I find it difficult. Wix. So it's this one. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
So basically what you do, you click start now and it will guide you step by step how to build a website. You really don't need any special skills to do that. I often get irritated when people talk about tech enhanced learning or teaching. I think technology is part of our life these days, and it's nothing special. But the good thing about the development of technology that it's becoming easier and easier and easier, and basically it's intuitive. And the pandemic has actually shown us that people can use the technology. They don't need to be afraid of it. When I was introducing the online syllabus in 2013, I had a lot of opposition from the teachers, but I knew that it was so simple, because the syllabus is basically, that's the only skill that you need is to be able to click on links, and that's it. So even I had a teacher in Country Cousins who until last year did not own a smartphone, and he managed to cope with the syllabus. So this is what I believe, that yeah, soon we will be. There's one thing that I would like to show you, because I was doing a presentation about this at IATEFL, and I asked that my first question was, do you think that your students should be using pen and paper in the classroom? And obviously everybody said yes, of course. And then I showed them this picture that I took during the conference. Have a look. What's happening here? Who's using pen and paper? Hypocrites.
Alicja, this is fascinating, and you asked me to let you know how time was going.
Yeah.
We are going to put people into breakout rooms. I guess we need to be doing that fairly soon, really, to allow time for feedback afterwards.
Yes. So yeah, let's in the breakout rooms. Let's have a quick discussion. Do we still need course books?
Do we still need courseworks? Okay, fine.
Yes.
So I'm going to put people into breakout rooms in just a moment. There'll be 7 rooms with 5 or 6 people in each room. Do please put on your videos if you want. I always think it's nicer to be able to see who's there in the room. And the basic question is, do we still need to use course books? But I guess if anything else has you'd like to discuss based on what you've heard, then fine, feel free, and we'll do a little bit of feeding back in maybe 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how things are going. So here we go into breakout rooms. Okay, here we are, magically transported back to the main room again. Welcome back, everyone. Alicja, shall I let you take it on from here?
Yes. So, how many breakout rooms did we have?
We had 5.
So from the first breakout room, if the spokesperson can quickly summarize what was said.
How do we know who's the first breakout room? Chris, can you tell us?
Very good question.
I was in a breakout room, but I don't know if I was number 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5.
They were numbered. I think they were numbered. So when we were entering the rooms, there was it did say the number, but
Jose, I think we were number 1.
Okay, so number 1 had Beth, Jose, Marianne, Monica, and Nigel.
Okay, then Nigel, please proceed.
Thank you. I'll put my video on. Hold on. Yeah, we had a really interesting conversation. We talked a little bit about how some of us are operating at the moment. We were at English in Chester, we run a summer school using partly Edmodo. So we had sort of have a hybrid version where we do some online stuff and some paper-based stuff. We wondered whether how this would work with long-term students or roll-on, roll-off provision. If we had students coming for 24 weeks, 26 weeks, there might be some difficulty with managing a program that doesn't repeat every 4 weeks. So it's good for short courses, particularly for younger learners who are maybe more used to the technology. May not be great for 50+ students or for students who are here for a lengthy period of time. Although there are elements of it which would work well. So yeah, we think it's definitely the future. Another point I raised was around publishers. I think there are lots of publishers have done lots of materials which are e-based, but we've got to find a way of monetizing it for publishers if we want publishers to continue to produce materials that can only be used online. And I don't think we've really found the way of doing that yet.
Yeah, so the question is, do we, very controversial question, do we want publishers to go on?
I suspect they do, but
Sorry? Sorry?
I think they probably do. There's lots of great materials out there produced by publishers, and
True.
it's a shame to lose all that expertise. And you know, I don't think we can assume that everybody's very good at writing materials. Some of us will be better at it than others, but I think publishers have a role. But it would be great if it could be incorporated into a paper-free future.
Yes, the only problem that I find with the maybe if publishers actually look for ways of doing that, because with this syllabus I can modify it instantly. I can change the links, basically. I change the content. Whereas the publishers, they put a lot of effort into producing content that is there and cannot be modified for at least 2 or 3 years.
We need to hear from other people, but one thing that occurred to me when I was just listening to a brief conversation was, with an online syllabus, you can actually involve the students in creating the syllabus, I guess, which is something that, you know, is less difficult to do when the syllabus is based on a course book. Anyway, do you want me to tell you who was in room 2 and hear from room 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we had Gohar, Jonathan, Katerina, and Sarah.
Okay.
Anyone from room 2?
So, okay, I did take the notes, but do you want to go, Sarah? Okay, I'm gonna say our conversation. Okay, I'll take it. So our conversation had 2 parts. First, we spoke about our experience. Jonathan spoke about his company, which started on 1998, and about teaching online. And what we're doing at the moment, Sarah is teaching at a language school. Katerina is working as a primary teacher. And then we connected that into how we are going to be using online or books for the syllabus. And one of the things that we spoke about was having proof of learning. How do we show that to parents and also to the kids themselves? So we shared what we have done. And at the end of the conversation, we spoke about students using phones in the class. Sarah shared her concerns, and we spoke about what age students should be allowed to do that, how are they going to be monitored using them, and how effective that is going to be in the lessons. And also during the first section, we shared our personal experiences with how we can use online teaching and these online syllabuses in our classes. And I guess that's all.
Well, one thing, maybe very quickly, about the phones.
I was going to say, my concern is probably the same thing that you have, Alicia, a lot of, is because we deal with teenagers in our school. You know, it's the bullying, and it's making sure that doesn't happen, which is my only really concern. You know, when they're using the Kindles, you can sort of limit what they're going on to do, you know, different.
Yes, but I would say that at the moment, during the pandemic, students are using phones all the time, aren't they?
It's completely different now. I mean, I'm talking about what was happening 2 years ago. I've just had a look at the headlines. I have a feeling, guys, that this summer isn't happening either. So
we'll have plenty of time to prepare our online materials.
Yes, we will.
Okay, thank you very much, Gohar and Sarah. Room 3, we had Alex, Dan, and Rhiannon. Know if any of them want to feedback a little?
Not sure if anyone else volunteered, no. Can you hear me well? Because I had some problems there. So yeah, we were quite inspired actually, and we talked about how effective it could be in many aspects really. We talked about the fact that adults might be a little bit more resistant to that, as they like to hold on to their course book and they feel a little bit less comfortable However, given time, they could be convinced, and it obviously depends on the materials that you create, because I imagine, Alicja, you create your materials specifically for this age group and specifically for the summer course. So that's what we focused on. Publishing as well. We talked about publishing, and then the fact that Rhiannon mentioned that the same number and the same amount of books is being published at the moment, regardless of the situation. So there's no, it hasn't stopped. So it's still happening. Alicja, sorry to disappoint you.
No, no. No, that's fine.
They are being printed. However, she did say that, you know, that's definitely an advantage of this kind of syllabus is that it only takes you a moment to change something when it becomes out of date. And whereas with course books, it basically involves reprinting everything, and reprinting as well as printing takes time, and things, you know, change quite quickly nowadays. As we know, some of you mentioned, we're watching the news now, and the world is a bit different tomorrow than yesterday. Someone mentioned that if someone famous in the course book dies, for example, they have to change everything. And you know, my thoughts were, I don't think I managed to say that because we didn't have that much time, but you know, all of it really ends up in the bin. What do you do with all those course books that were printed, you know, 2 years ago and now have to be reprinted? So I think Christopher mentioned that at the beginning, about, you know, this aspect of it. How do we stop wasting so much paper as well? So yeah, sorry if I missed something. There was, yeah, it was quite a nice discussion. We talked about the weather as well, because, you know, because it's nice to compare where the winter is at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you also, Alex. Alicja, do you want to say anything before I move on to the next room?
Well, no, actually, no, I think Alex summarized everything very well in that particular room. I don't think I wanted to add anything to this. Yes, the printing and reprinting of course books, it's a waste. A lot of I'm in Poland at the moment, so I went back to my mom's house where I've got boxes and boxes of books still, and I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, I think that's a familiar situation for many schools. Yeah, boxes and boxes of them. Okay, we're probably not going to have time to go through the next 3 rooms, which are rooms 4 and 5 and 6. So why don't we just ask if anybody would like to sort of pop in from any of those rooms now and just raise anything that you discussed that hasn't been mentioned so far. Anyone?
If not, I would just like to say, because there were comments saying that obviously this syllabus would not be appropriate for a year-round school because it is specifically made for the summer school. But what I wanted to show is that you can use the Wix platform and you can create your own syllabus. I'm not saying that course books are bad. Yes, they do have a lot of excellent content. So you can start creating, because obviously everybody uses additional extra materials. So you can create this website for all your additional extra materials and keep them there in one place in a very well organized way. I remember I was not a very organized teacher when I taught, and yes, and sometimes I ended up teaching the same thing 3 or 4 times to the same student because it was all over the place. It was in those folders. It was in various digital folders as well. But because with constructing this syllabus, we don't have time to show you the back end of the website. But if you really think about, because before you actually start designing anything, you need to think about the framework. You need to think about the construction, what it would look like, so that you don't just have a collection of materials here, there, and everywhere, but they are organized in some logical order, and then it makes your life easy.
Yeah, we still have 5 minutes, Alicja, if you do want to show us the back end of the website, if that's something that you want to do.
Okay, so let me quickly, let me see if I can do it very quickly. Because I did close everything when I got mixed up with sharing the screen. So can you see a different screen now?
No, still your syllabus one. And also something that Alicja hasn't shared is that Wix costs £150 a year, the subscription. So it's a very economical platform.
Let me do it. Oops, I'm losing everything now.
Okay, in that case, let me come back to room 4.
Can you see? Can you see something now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what it looks like at the back end. So I've got various websites. I just click on that. And let me just show you, because I was talking about this logical order of things. Just take a minute or so. So I hope you can see that something's happening, loading. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about, actually. I mean, somebody did mention, well, what happens if, your system goes down? But it occurred to me that, if you have hundreds of students, potentially, all using, a little mobile device at the same time, does that put a strain on, school Wi-Fi connection? Have you noticed it slowing down at all?
No, we've got 2 fiber optics into the school.
Okay.
So you need.
Okay. So I think that presumably is a given then, that, if you wanted to go down this route.
Oh, you need a proper Wi-Fi connection, and you need a good bandwidth for the students to use.
Yeah.
Yes, but again, because we can also talk about the expense. If you look at the expense of buying course books, and then the expense of having a projector and a computer and a good Wi-Fi and a tablet that can be used over and over again, I think you need to do your calculations, and probably I think technology is cheaper.
It's cheaper. We did it 5 years ago and still running everything. So
yeah.
And I've got a very stingy boss, so yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the back end, as you can see. I can manage the pages from here. So I hope you can see it. Can you see my scrolling down? Yes?
Yeah.
So I've got all the pages here that and as you can see, if I go to a specific page, I can change. Let me quickly show you how I can change things quickly, but the internet is very slow. Very good. Right. So I'm on a specific page, and if I want to change something, if I want to change the link, for instance, I click on the link, I click on this, I delete what I have there, and I just paste a different link, and I've got a different video in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And let me just show you the logical. So you can see it does take time to come up with because these are all the pages that I had to come up with. But once I come up with one, with a design, with the framework, then I copy it for the next day. So if I've got Monday, I copy it for Tuesday and just change the content for Tuesday, so that I don't have to come up with the layout over and over again. So I make things simple for myself.
And Alicja, I think it would be beneficial if you shared what the British Council inspectors thought of it 2 years ago.
I don't think I have that. Share, I mean, by talking about it. Oh yes, I did share it in one of the. I did share it in one of the rooms. It was not with everybody. Well, the British Council inspector, they did like it, but there was just one disappointing thing that they said, because they didn't fully appreciate the syllabus. They liked the paper workbook, especially that we still had. So there was still emphasis on paper.
I should interrupt for a moment to say that it's 5:30 UK time now. So if you have to leave us, thank you very much for being here. Do check back on the ELT Footprint UK website for our next discussion, or even better, sign up for our newsletter, which will carry information on our next discussion. But if you want to stay around and chat a little bit more here, that's absolutely fine. I guess, Alicja, you and I are going to be around for the next 10-15 minutes.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to carry on talking, please do stay with us.
Chris, how are you going to share the recording of this session?
We will create another page on the Footprint website, and we'll put the recording there together with a write-up of, you know, the ideas that have come up here. And for those who are leaving, I would just like to say on your behalf, thank you very much indeed, Alicja, for sharing this with us. It's gosh, there's so much there. It's difficult to know how to begin to unpack it. So many issues raised and exciting possibilities. Thank you very much indeed for that.
Yes, and I would also like to thank you, all of you, for coming. I was expecting two or three participants, but thank you so much for listening.
Okay, so I'm just going to put the link to our newsletter in the chat there. If anybody wants to be kept informed, just click on that link and subscribe to the newsletter, and we'll stay in touch with you. And now I'm going to get out of the way and let you and Alicja carry on with your conversation.
Okay, so anybody still wants to comment on anything?
You mean, do we want to come and pick your brain and find out how to do this? This looks like it was a huge amount of work. I mean, immense. I'm assuming you spend all your downtime creating this.
Yes, well, I'm in a very lucky position because we are in Ilfracombe in Devon, and we don't have year-round students. We only have summer school students, and so I spend most of my time off season working on the syllabus.
My one question actually was about the video links within the topics. When you do that, do you embed the videos? Because obviously you could have the issue that the video could just disappear from YouTube. Do you embed them off?
Yeah, it is true that they can disappear, and that happens, which is why before the season, I make sure that all the links are there. And sometimes it might happen that it disappears in the middle of the season. But again, the beauty of the syllabus is that I can, and it did happen a couple of times, but I could come up with a similar video and again in about 10 minutes.
I'm trying to think. I know there's a website that lets you embed YouTube videos. I think it's ZipZap or something like that. They have such silly names, don't they? All of these things.
Yeah, but I don't use any special. You know, I just provide links because this is a simple way.
It is.
Yeah. If I start using any apps, any additional software, any this or that, then it becomes complicated, and then teachers get frustrated, and then it becomes confusing. So my overriding principle was to keep things as simple as possible, because like I said, I started in 2013 where people were not, well, they wanted to use paper. So I did have to make it extremely simple to make sure that the teachers were actually using it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been really, really interesting. I
pleasure.
can imagine there's a lot of work at the end of a long day for you. So I will see you all maybe at the next one. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Jose. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Anybody else wants to say something? Any comments, any questions?
Okay, I think we're.
I think everybody has disappeared.
Alex, you're still here. Was there something that you wanted to ask, or Goha? Anything that you want to raise at this stage? Okay,
Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Alex is actually the former colleague of mine that I was talking about.
Just really worried my daughter's going to like walk in any moment and start her dance or something, which happens in lockdown a lot. So, so kind of.
Yeah, and Alex had the pleasure of using the syllabus.
I did, and I shared that in the group that we had. Well, shared that glimpse of it in a sense because we didn't have that much time. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was you know, the pleasurable times when you really don't have to prepare that much because, you know, this frame is ready for you and you can really, at the same time, it's not imposed. You can use your potential, you can use your ideas and be creative, which is what I enjoyed the most. But also the fact that very often you could see, you know, this nice feeling of they're actually getting interested in the topic. They're not like, oh, so we're talking about food again. Oh, so yes, what's in your fridge, or what do you do you like bananas? They were, you know, we're discussing that topic or this topic. I remember we were talking about properties. That was, you know, it was a long time ago, but I remember that we went on like Rightmove and looked at properties in Ilfracombe and around, and they were like really into it because this is where they stayed, and they were interested about you know, in prices and everything. So very very engaging, very thought-provoking as well, especially when I looked at the topics that you have now on there, which is, you know, the future, etc. I think it has to be, you know, really appealing to the students because I guess they're thinking about it. We probably try not to think too much about it, but they
about the future of humanity.
Yes, yeah, I just kind of try to keep it away. But I guess for them it's you know, something they would want to talk about and discuss. So great, yeah, well done. Thank you for the session. It was brilliant.
Yeah, thank you for attending the session.
Pleasure.
Well, it's been lovely. Goha, very nice to meet you, if only briefly, in the breakout room there. And thanks for your very clear feedback as well.
Yeah, really nice meeting you too. The last time I was late for the meeting, something happened, and I really missed the discussions and everything. This session was great. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for sharing. Most teachers are afraid of creativity, and that's one of the topics that we did speak in our group about, that how we can be more creative when we share online links with the students, how it's going to be more useful. And I like it that the teachers who are here, they are all with that vision, being more creative. That gives a wider view to the students too, so they can be creative in their learning as well. Really nice seeing everybody, and thank you very much, Alicia, for sharing your experience. Very useful.
Don't forget that our aim here
nice
is to be
everybody.
environmentally friendly as well. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
exactly. That's one of the reasons that I did follow the ELT footprint on Twitter, I guess, because I thought it's going to be environmentally friendly. Yeah. Something that I've been trying to do since 2015 that I started my online teaching. And just last week I had a class, the students requested specifically to have course book, but at the end of the first session, I gave them 2 links to extra readings that were not in the book, and they found it more interesting than the book. So I think that we do have a future of not using course books and being more environmentally friendly.
Hopefully,
again, really nice meeting every single one of you, and hope to join you in the future sessions.
Likewise. Well, I guess, Katerina, do you have a burning question that you'd like to ask us at this stage, or should we wrap things up?
Oh, something we talked about before in our private, let's say, chat is that in Greece, I teach in Greece, and unfortunately, mobile phones are not allowed during the lesson. And it's a pity because we don't have so many possibilities to use them creatively.
Mm.
They're banned. We shouldn't even use them in class.
We actually have a very interesting story from Country Cousins, because one of our students, a German student, was so inspired by the syllabus and using mobile phones that when he went back to his country, he started a petition at the school to use mobile phones, not for everybody, but at least in the senior class. I don't know how the petition ended, but we supported him. Yeah. So yeah, we're still to hear back from him. Whether, so, you know, if mobile phones are not allowed, you can remember that you can try and change the policy. Involve the students.
Interesting one, because we're in a similar position to you, Alicja, in that we run summer schools for children and teenagers normally when we can, and we kind of have a bit of a battle with mobile phones, to be quite honest, and mobile devices in general, because we've noticed that some of the children, no, not all of them obviously, but some of them will use them as a bit of a crutch to avoid interacting with others properly, and will stay in contact with their friends at home rather than actually, you know, taking that sort of slightly courageous step to step out of their comfort zone and make new friends from different countries and nationalities and so on. So at the same time, we don't want people not to be able to use mobile phones for good pedagogical purposes.
Yeah.
So I think the answer is, if we can justify it pedagogically, then it should be fine. So long as, you know, in our particular case, we actually sort of have the agreement of everybody before they come that they will hand in their mobile phones for most of the day, actually. And we've discovered over a couple of years that makes for a much better, more dynamic, more international, you know, better mixing and so on. So how long we can continue to do that, I don't know, because, you know, phones are kind of almost an integral part of young people's hands these days, aren't they? So
yeah,
I don't know how long we can get away with that, but you know, there is a bit of an issue there.
Yeah, I would agree with you that yes, they might rely. So yeah, what I would do is actually ban mobile phones during social activities, but use them in class.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay, well, look, we're nearly 10 minutes over time, so let's call it a day there. Thank you very much once again, Alicja, and Jose, for your help as well. Nice seeing you, Goha, and Alex, and Katerina, and whoever else might still be listening in the background who we can't see, I don't know. But nice having you with us, and stay around. We'll see you again before too long, I hope.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.